Vanakkam. Welcome to the Yogic lens. This video is about a Vedic concept called Panchamaya Kosha, the 5 illusions wrapping one's own self. This is something which is being used across several philosophies to understand the body-mind complex and understand one's own self. The popular term, who am I? The goal of this video is to find out what is this Panchamaya model, why it is important to understand the interconnectivity of the 5 sheets which are called as illusions, and how the knowledge of it influences your understanding of who you are not more than understanding who you are. By recognizing who you are not, you can uncover a clearer sense of your true self. And finally, we will see how yogic practices help us in this process of understanding the Panchamaya, so that you can connect with your inner consciousness and take decisions and directions from your inner soul rather than the emotional buildup of your mind. This Panchamaya model is explained in Taittiriya Upanishad as a conversation between father and son. The father is trying to help his son to realize himself by explaining the 5 sheets covering the true self. What is Panchamaya? Now, let us come to the etymology. Pancha means 5 and Maya means illusion. Kosha means sheath. So, the name indicates that there are 5 sheets covering yourself, which acts like an illusion. So, what is the illusion here? What is the Maya here? The Maya is not the sheath, but Maya is one's own understanding about one's own self. Now, let us consider this scenario. Assuming you are looking at yourself in a mirror and you see that your face is kind of stained, having a lot of marks, discoloration, pigments. You're wondering what is happening with my face. Then you realize that the stain is not from your face, but the stain is from that mirror. The image that you see is not showing reality, whereas covered by stains. Realizing self is very similar to that. The pure self or the pure consciousness is covered by several stains or sheets or coverings. Like how you identified stains in the mirror, there are several coverings over your shining consciousness. The main purpose or goal is to understand these coverings and remove them while you are in the path of understanding one's own self. Now, let us see what are these coverings or sheets which is acting upon you. The physical body, Annamaya, energy body, Pranamaya, mental body, Manomaya, intellectual body, Vijnanamaya, body of bliss, Aanandamaya. You probably would have seen an image like this where the self or pure consciousness is right in the center and all other mayas covering it as a sheath. We have to understand one thing here. The self is all pervading and universal and cannot be confined to that small space. This is just a representation that these sheets are obstacles or illusions in understanding oneself. Whereas the self, the pure consciousness, is all pervading and universal, like how light spreads throughout. To understand the concept, look at this image of a glowing lamp, shining very brightly, no lampshade covering it. Our soul is like this light bulb. Now let us see what happens when you add a lampshade to it. The glow kind of diminishes a little bit. Somebody decided that let us add more lampshades to it. You add one more, the light further comes down, as you see. Add one more, further light diminishes, so on and on and on till you get a very dull light, hardly able to get past all these lampshades. This is exactly what is happening in our inner soul. The thickest lampshade is the Annamaya Kosha, which is the physical body. Then you have the Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body, which is less gross. Then you have the Manomaya, the mental body, much more subtle. Then Vijnanamaya, the body of intellect, which is further subtler. Then you have the Aanandamaya, body of bliss, which is the most subtle of all the layers of sheets, and therefore able to emit the light fairly well. Why do you think it happens? Because the sheets are covering the soul are stained with mental activities, mind afflictions, food for senses, making this light a dull, non-shining light. This is where the yogic practices intervene. There are several yogic practices formulated by ancient yogis to clear these lampshades from all the impurities and make it translucent so that our soul can shine through it. One can have more clarity and clear directions from our inner consciousness. We could say that yogic practices come as a glass cleaner to see yourself clearly in the mirror without any stains. If you are interested in learning asanas, yogic postures and pranayama, I conduct online classes, live online classes over Zoom. Please do join. The link to register for those classes are in the description below. So it is very clear that the sheets covering us are illusions. But why do we call these layers as illusions? Only for a reason. We are conditioned to think that this physical body is my own self. Some people realize that and say, no, physical body is perishable. How can that be me? I must be the energy body, that is the pranic body. Or maybe the mind or my intellect is what I am made of. Or some people do think maybe the causal body, the subtlermost body or the state of bliss defines me as myself. Whereas all these bodies are illusions and the real self is the light behind all these lampshades. Now tell me, if all the sheets are illusion, then why do I need to understand these sheets? Because we need to understand this to eliminate them. This is like appearing for an exam with multiple choice question. When we don't know the answer to a question, we try the elimination method, right? Keep eliminating one by one that does not suit the question. Then we arrive at the answer. Very similar to that, we understand each and every sheet and start eliminating it to understand the self. Now, let us see how yogic practices come so handy in this process. Each and every yogic practice that helps a particular sheath to uncover. Let us see that now. So far, we came to a clear conclusion that understanding the 5 sheaths leads to an understanding of self. Now, let us go deep into the interconnectivity of these koshas and understand them one by one. We are also going to see how yogic practices can help us do this better. Let us now zoom into these layers one by one. The outermost layer is the physical body. Then you have the energy body, mental body, body of intellect, body of bliss. The Annamaya Kosha, the physical body, is the gross portion of the body, which is made up of 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air and space. This physical body undergoes 6 transformations. It is born, lives, grows, undergoes changes, decays and then dies. As long as you have this physical body, its needs are endless. We need to keep maintaining it. It is like a hardware portion of your computer. The software cannot work without the hardware, right? The keyboard, monitor, etc. And you need to keep on maintaining it. So, to maintain the physical body, we use asanas. Asanas, one of the 8 parts of the Ashtanga Yoga, is the one that is used to maintain this physical body. Not only maintain, but reduce the grossness of the physical body, making it more light, allowing it to coexist with the other sheaths in harmony. Now let us see the Pranamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha is the energy body, which is the vital force that activates this physical body through the directions of other subtler bodies. This prana is pure and not colored or tainted and divides into 5 vayus in our system for various mental and physical operations of the body. They are prana, samana, apana, vyana and udana, which respectively helps the respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system, circulatory and lymphatic system and the nervous system. These 5 pranas act like a bridge between the physical body and the mental body. Pranayama, the 4th limb of Ashtanga Yoga, is to be practiced to keep this prana flowing and nourishing the body and mind. If this prana has to act like a bridge between mind and body, then it has to be free flowing through its channels, right? So practicing various pranayamas helps with that. Let us now move to the next kosha. Manomaya Kosha. Mana means mind. This sheath is where mental activities and emotions are processed. The main job of the mental sheath is to receive signals from the senses and transfer it to the organs of action. This takes care of the 5 jnanendriyas, the 5 senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting. And the 5 karmendriyas, that are the 5 organs of action, are the speech, grasp with hands, move with legs, reproduction and excretion. Here, mind is like a supervisor. The job is to receive information and process it from the instructions given by the higher manager, that is the buddhi, the intellect, and gives instruction to the physical body. But what happens? Due to various activities happening in the mind, sometimes it fails to operate based on instruction from the higher subtle bodies. There are so many mental processes that keeps happening in the mind. Those are called as vrittis as per yoga philosophy. There are 5 vrittis through which the mind processes. Pramana, which is the right knowledge; viparyaya, the wrong knowledge; vikalpa, which is the imagination; nidra, the activities during sleep; and then smriti, the memory. The pramana is further divided into 3 parts: pratyaksha, anumana and agama. Pratyaksha is like whatever you directly receive from senses. Anumana is inferences. Agama means some reliable sources. And the unfortunate part about mind is the mind is afflicted and colored through our emotions. So taking decisions just from the mind level is a biased decision, because there are mental afflictions called kleshas that act upon the mind, which alter our perception, alter our decisions. There are 5 mind afflictions as per Yoga Sutras: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha and abhinivesha. As you see here in this chart, these mind afflictions affect your organs of action. This is a detailed subject which we will take it up in another video. How to keep this mental body, Manomaya, crystal clear so that it performs to its full potential without the influence of these afflictions. There are 2 practices given in the 8-limbed Ashtanga Yoga path, that is Pratyahara and Dharana. Pratyahara is nothing but control of senses, and Dharana is a practice to develop a state of one-pointedness. The next kosha is Vijnanamaya Kosha, the higher mind you could say, which is also called the body of intellect. Why it is called intellectual body? Because this is where analysis of things that you perceive happens without the influence of the mind afflictions. A logical, unbiased decisions are made from the directions given by inner consciousness, the chit, at this level. The sheath acts in 4 levels, we could say. Chitta, which is the closest to chit. Chit means consciousness. Ahankara, the ego consciousness, the sense of I-ness. The buddhi, the analytical and logical part of the mind. Then you have the manas, which is linked to the manomaya. Often the decisions are right when you take it from this level, rather from the manomaya level. This is achieved by the 7th limb of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, which is called as dhyana. During the process of dhyana, one connects with our inner soul or the universal soul. At this point, all the activities of the mind are quietened. The sensory perceptions, inferences, imaginations of the mind and memory also brought as low as possible, so that you have an undisturbed mind capable of connecting with the inner self. The next kosha is Aanandamaya Kosha. This is the sheath that is very close to the soul, and it exists in a state of bliss. Hence the name Aanandamaya. Ananda means bliss. When someone can identify this sheath, then he or she is an evolved yogi who is close to oneself. This is the sheath that is capable of taking directions from the soul, the inner consciousness, which is also called the universal consciousness. At this state, one is not bothered about any other sheaths, body, breath, mind, or the intellect. Say when you are listening to this lecture, the physical body may give you a nagging pain in your neck or any part of the body, or maybe an itch in your back. And what's happening at the pranic level? You need to be constantly aware of your breath, which oscillates along with your mind. The mental body is full of mind afflictions, memories, which forms impressions in the mind. And in the body of intellect, there are constant analysis that is going on. Logical reasoning goes throughout. But at this state of Aanandamaya, one is not bothered about any of these. Hence, a state of bliss. Once a prolonged practice of dhyana reaches a state of samadhi, the eighth limb of Ashtanga Yoga, then one experiences this state of Ananda. Remember, you still have one more wheel to remove. Once a yogi understands that even this bliss is illusion, then yogi realizes that his self and the universal self is not two different things. It is just one, which may be called as God, as we all call it universally, Brahman as per Vedanta, Purusha as per Sankhya, Drashta as per Yoga, Shiva as per Tirumandiram. I hope this deep study would have given you an insight and outline about the Pancha Koshas. If you would like to listen more on the topic of yoga philosophies and principles, consider subscribing to my channel. Let us meet in our next video. Thank you.